Test, test, test. 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 Test.
Father, that we can know you, that we can not only know you, but that we can be saved, God, that we can have the hope that one day you will return and that you will take us home to live with you forever, Father, and we eagerly await that day. And Father, while we are here on this earth, we just pray for strength, God. We pray for power, God. We pray that we may, Father, that we may further your kingdom, God. In the name of Jesus, we just pray and ask that your kingdom would come and that your will would be done on earth here as it is in heaven, Father. And may we bring glory to your name in all we say and do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Fairest, Lord Jesus, as we think about the beauty of his creation and we gaze upon, man, all of the wonders of this world that he's made, this song just celebrates that in all of the things that have taken our breath in this world, of all the sunsets that we've admired and all the sunrises that we've gazed at, none of them compare to the beauty of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And we just celebrate that in this song. before we take communion together, remember the sacrifice that it came for.
Morning, everyone. In the early 1980s, there was a deep recession in the United States. There was a company called Wicks Lumber that was the largest building materials company in the world at the time. And in November of that year, they filed bankruptcy. I happened to work for them. And they started laying people off. quickly. I was brand new. I'd only been there for about 4 months. And so I was the first one that was to go. Why I'm telling you that is I want to tell you about a couple of Christmases that were blessed Christmases that at first sight you might think were not, but they were. We had just bought a home in October. My wife was pregnant with Abe, our son, and they came to me and said that there were layoffs happening and that I would be getting laid off also. But they weren't going to get rid of me first because Jan was pregnant. So they kept me on until she had Abe. So that sounds great, right? That was great. It was a blessing. Our insurance carried 30 days after I was laid off. I still had insurance. On the 32nd day, Abe had a horrible asthma attack and was put into the hospital. And he was there for 10 days in an oxygen tent, and we had no insurance. Now, I won't go into all the details of that, but the Lord took care of that too. But there are other things. The following Christmas, not that year, 81, we were fine that year, but the following Christmas, we were broke. We just had no money at all. And so Christmas, I had no idea what we were going to do. And I went out in the barn one day and just happened to remember that there's this big pile of oak flooring, tongue-and-groove flooring, that was just there when we bought the place. And there was a little bit of lumber here and there in the barn. And so for that Christmas, we made things out of all that scrap. I glued all that flooring together and hooked it together and hinged it and everything and made her a hutch out of all this junk lumber. I made Abe a wrestling ring for little action figures. And the Lord provided for us. The next Christmas was even worse because now I've been laid off for 2 years, just getting a job here and there. And we had a zero again, and we'd used all up all our scrap lumber. So now we had nothing. But about 2 weeks before Christmas, my grandfather had died many years before, and he worked in coal mines in Kentucky, eastern Kentucky. And so he was due black lung benefits, but she had never gotten them. And I believe the union had been working to try to get her black lung benefits for years and years. Well, it just happened. Didn't just happen, but that year she got her black lung benefits. And instead of taking it for herself, she divided it amongst all her kids. Well, my mother had passed away when I was 16, so her share came to my brother and I, and we got it 2 weeks before Christmas. And so we had $250 that provided for that Christmas. So we had a Christmas, but we had a hard time with everything else. Heat. Thankfully, when I worked at Wicks, right before I got laid off, I bought a wood stove that I got a good price because I worked there. And we had been burning wood, but it was becoming very hard to find because everybody else was in hard times too. And if there was a tree cut down, that wood was gone instantly. But the Lord provided even in that. Up by Deschler, a big coal car, 100 tons of coal derailed, and it dumped it all alongside of the tracks. And they didn't want it because it got mixed in with gravel and dirt. So it laid there for months, and my brother and I went up and picked up coal and hauled it back to the house, and we heated with that coal for quite some time. The reason I tell you all those things is just to show you how the Lord provides for us. I could go on and on. I've got many more stories from that time. And people will look at that time and maybe say, well, the Lord, what he could have done was not let you get laid off and taking care of you that way, so you didn't have to go through all this. But I'm not up here telling you about those Christmases that I had easy. I'm up here telling you about how the Lord provided in this Christmas. And the relationship that is built between a parent and a child, which we are to God, is a relationship that's built on need and fulfillment. God knew we had a need, and he put us even in a situation, I believe, to have a need. And then he filled those needs to show his love for us. But we're here about a particular need too right now. And that was the need for forgiveness, the need for righteousness, and the need for a Savior. And being the Father that he is, he fulfilled that need also. And he did that in Jesus Christ. And that is what we celebrate right now. That he sent Christ to die for us because he loves us and to give us the life that he desires us to have. And it's a blessed life. Those times I wouldn't trade him for anything. I came closer to God. I became closer to my wife. My kids learned from it. They were a blessed time. Didn't necessarily feel like it at the time, but they were. They were a very blessed time. Let's pray. Thank you, Lord, for all the interactions that we have with you in our life and how your desire is to be close to us and us to be close to you. Thank you for Jesus, who is the ultimate gift, the ultimate showing of love, and we are just blessed to be called your children and to call him our Savior and our Lord. We ask your blessing on this time as we remember that and rejoice in it and share a communion with you and each other in loving the Lord that loved us. In Jesus' name, amen. We're going to take up the collection as we do every week. If you are a visitor, please do not feel any obligation, and no one will think the less of you if you don't put anything on the plate. You make up your own mind on that. Today, we are blessed. Simple statement, but it's true. We're blessed. I will encourage you to be generous. And I'm not just talking about that plate. I'm just talking about the way you view your funds and your money and your finances. Be generous. God's been generous to you. Be generous to others. Be generous to your brothers and sisters. It's only money. Let's pray. Thank you, Father, for all you've given us. We are blessed indeed, and we love you, and we appreciate all that you do for us. And we believe, Lord, that life is found in Jesus, not in money or material goods, but in Christ. Help us, Lord, to have the right view on money and to use it for your good. And we pray that now as we take up this collection to fund the work here at Christ Church. In Jesus' name.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. We are glad you are here and part of our assembly this morning. Just a couple of things I want to mention. Man, I tell you, that light right there. Anybody have a BB gun? It is blinding me. Tim York's mother died. You may have already gotten a message on that. We want to pray for Tim. I do not have any information about that. Also, does anybody know anything about Angel? Oh, thank you. She's supposed to go in last night, so she's at the hospital. No one knows whether she's had her baby or not yet. Oh, okay. Okay, all right. Wow, these are exciting. We got that one coming up and several more. And as you know, I'm collecting money for the purpose of helping some of our families here at Christ Church, and I choose families that are working families but struggling for one reason or another and have children and who are part of our assembly. And so that's the ones we help with that. If you'd like to, just give me your cash or check, and I will see that it is used properly. I want you to turn to Matthew chapter 2 as we begin our lesson this morning. There's a story there that you're familiar with. Oh, Tim is here. I didn't see Tim. Good to have you, Tim. Sorry about your mom, by the way. There's a story here that it's really a rather mysterious story, and I'm going to share with you some theories that I have. But I want us to kind of read it together and talk about it. I'm telling you, it's hard for me to believe that it's almost Christmas. Another, 10 days to Christmas? How extraordinary that another year has passed. And I'm going to tell you, when you get to my age, that is hard to take. Matthew chapter 2, there is this story about these men, these mysterious men who come from the east. And it's a fascinating story, and there's some things not said, and I'm going to talk about what we know and what we don't know, and I'm going to give you some theories of mine with regard to who these men were and that sort of thing. And then I want to talk about their journey a little bit, the kind of journey that they had. So read with me beginning in Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 and following. I tell you what, is anybody tall enough to reach that and pull it down just a little bit? Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea during the reign of King Herod. About that time, some wise men from eastern lands arrived in Jerusalem asking, "Where is the newborn King of the Jews? We saw his star as it rose, and we have come to worship him." King Herod was deeply disturbed when he heard this, as was everyone in Jerusalem. Now, they weren't disturbed for the same reason. I want to stop here for just a moment. They weren't disturbed for the same reason. King Herod was disturbed because he's hearing that a king is born, and he's disturbed by that. Jerusalem is disturbed because he's disturbed. They know that if the king is disturbed, it's going to mean trouble for their lives. And did it? Oh, yeah. This man was brutal. and they knew it was going to be a problem. So I just want you to understand, they're anxiously awaiting the Messiah. They're looking for the Messiah. They're anticipating the Messiah. They're not disturbed by that news. Read on with me. Verse 3 again. King Herod was deeply disturbed when he heard this, as was everyone in Jerusalem. He called a meeting of the leading priests and teachers in religious law and asked, "Where is the Messiah supposed to be born?" "In Bethlehem in Judea," they said, "for this is what the prophet wrote." This is from Micah chapter 5, hundreds of years before his birth. "And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, and not least among the ruling cities of Judah, for a ruler will come from you who will be the shepherd for my people Israel." I'm going to tell you that Bethlehem was a small, insignificant town. The prophet Micah gave it greater significance for one reason and one reason only. He placed it among the leading cities of Judah, and he did that only for the reason that the Christ child was to be born there. No other reason. Verse 7. Then Herod called for a private meeting with the wise men, and he learned from them the time when the star first appeared. Then he told them, "Go to Bethlehem, search carefully for the child, and when you find him, come back and tell me so that I can go and worship him too." After this interview, the wise men went their way, and the star they had seen in the east guided them to Bethlehem. It went ahead of them and stopped over the place where the child was born. And when they saw the star, they were filled with joy. They entered the house and saw the child with his mother Mary. They bowed down and worshiped him. Then they opened their treasure chest and gave him gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh. And when it was time to leave, they returned to their own country by another route, for God had warned them in a dream not to return to Herod. What a fascinating story this is. But a lot of things we don't know about it. We don't know exactly how many of them there were. We often assume that there are 3 because there were 3 gifts, but there could have been more than that. We don't know. We don't know where they came from exactly. Although I'm going to give you a theory here, and you can see what you think. I believe that they came from Babylon, and I believe that what they knew from the dispersion that had been in Babylon, the Jews that had lived there after they were exiled to Babylon. I believe that those stories were carried down through the centuries. They may even have read some of the writings of the likes of Daniel and Ezekiel, because that's where they wrote from, was Babylon. They may have known more than we thought they should know, given where they are. We don't know how long their journey took. We don't know exactly how much they knew or what they understood. We don't know any of that. I'm supposing some of these things. Now, they just seem to show up mysteriously, and just as mysteriously they're gone, never to be mentioned again. So here's what we do know. They were philosophers, priests, or astronomers. These were important people. They weren't, some people count them as magicians. They weren't magicians. These were people who studied the stars, understood the star. When they saw this one star, they knew something was off with this. They knew something was different. They knew it wasn't part of anything that they had ever seen before, and they had an anticipation for the Messiah. They came to Jerusalem to seek the newborn king of the Jews, and ultimately Herod called them in. Herod was a maniacal, bloodthirsty, mentally unstable tyrant seeking the information about the newborn king of the Jews. And when these men do not come back to him to tell him where they found Jesus, he begins to kill all the children in and around Bethlehem, 2 years old and younger, because, well, they're in a rented house now, and the Christ child could be as much as 2 years old. And he knows that. When they got to Bethlehem, they didn't come to the stable as often presented in the retelling of the birth story, but they came to a rented house. And that's where Jesus and his family were living for the moment They were Gentiles. I want to tell you something that's interesting about this for me. Throughout the Old Testament, God planned salvation for both Jew and Gentile. He's using the Jewish nation to bring the Christ into the world, but that salvation that the Christ is bringing into the world was for all people. And all of a sudden in this story that we have, all of a sudden he inserts these Gentile men into it. They come from a far land, Babylon perhaps, and they come from that land in order to search for the Christ child. It is a symbolic idea of Gentiles coming to Christ. As I mentioned before, they came from the east. God gave them a special sign, and while Herod meant to destroy this child, they became his protectors. What a fascinating, mysterious story. They suddenly show up, and just as suddenly they're gone. And they're never mentioned again. We know there are three things about the journey they took, and I want to share these three things with you as I sermonize this. Number one, their journey was a journey of faith. These men were philosophers, priests, astronomers. They lived, likely, as I said before, in Babylon. They were learned men of the eastern nations, devoted to astronomy, to religion, to medicine. They were held in high esteem. They came to Jerusalem and they asked the question, "Where is he who was born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the west." They came looking for the King of the Jews. They naturally came to Jerusalem. Now, at some point, and I didn't share this with you before, but at some point, as they were coming to Jerusalem, as they were coming to the west, that star disappears. And so they don't know where to go, so they go naturally to Jerusalem. Maybe they thought he would be in a palace. Maybe they thought that he would be born where kings are born, surrounded by opulence and wealth, in the care of hired nannies, facing a life of extravagance. Maybe that's what they thought. Maybe they thought because Jerusalem has been the capital city of these Hebrew people for so long that that's exactly where he would be. It is only later that that star reappears after they meet with Herod, and that star takes them to Bethlehem, right to the house where Jesus was living. The word Bethlehem means house of bread. And that's fitting because he would become the bread of life. What would prompt someone to leave the comfort of their home to go on a dangerous journey? It might be romance or treasure or adventure, but it wasn't any of those things that drove these men from the east. It was faith. There's a passage in Scripture that I love. And it says that we are to walk by faith, not by sight. And this story is the perfect illustration of that very concept, that we walk or live by faith, not by sight. They had no idea where they were going. They had seen a star. They believed that that was tied to the birth of the Lord Jesus Christ. This was a time of expectation. Something was happening, and they were willing to risk everything in order to find him. They were willing to leave the safety of their homes, to risk a perilous journey to seek a king. Can you imagine their family and friends' reaction to all of this? They were a lot like Abraham. Well, you're going on a journey. Yeah, we're going on a journey. And where are you going to? Well, we really don't know where we're going for sure. Well, how far is it? Well, we don't know that either. When will you get back? Have no idea. People often, by the way, imagine some of the same things about people of faith. I can imagine his family and friends thinking, "Are you crazy? Are you insane? Is there something wrong with you? Why would you do this?" I'm going to tell you, folks, that God's journeys have always involved faith. Not romance, not adventure, not wealth, but faith. This is a walk of faith. Let me tell you what that means. We don't have some Christians walking by sight and some walking by faith. That's not what the passage says. The passage says that we walk by faith, not by sight. And what that means is that we never have any idea about where life is going to take us. I loved Rick's stories today. He's got a bunch of them. I've got a bunch of them. I'm going to tell you, and I could tell you many. There was a time that Sherry and I needed $1,000. Now, in this day and age, it doesn't seem like a lot of money. We didn't have it. I'm just telling you, we didn't have it. Went out to the mailbox one day, and I've heard television preachers tell these kind of stories, and I've laughed at them. Went out to the mailbox one day and had a letter from some good friends of ours. We had been important in their life. They had been important in our life, and I had helped lead them out of a cult, and they had become very close to us and us to them and their families and all of that. And one day got a letter from them with a check in it during this time for $1,000. Unexpected. And it had a note in it. It said, "We just came into a little bit of money and we thought about you." I know how they thought about us. I know why they thought about us. I know that God put in their heart the very thing that they did. I remember when Sherry and I were in Cyprus, and we had just been baptized in the Mediterranean Sea. It was, I don't know, we got home that night, we're in bed. It was probably 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, late. And we're kind of laying there with each other, and we're like, hey, you know, Christina is laying over in a little crib near us. And we're like, you know, I'm not sure about what we just did. I'm not sure about what's happening here. I'm not sure about what this means. You know, we're thinking about life ahead, and we're thinking about where we're going to be and where we're going to go. We weren't far from leaving Cyprus and leaving the military and going back home, and I'm thinking about what I'm going to do and what's going to happen in our lives and how it's going to change and all of that. And let me tell you something. I had no idea. That's a walk of faith. We had no idea where it would take us. We had no idea that it would change the course of our lives in ways that we could not imagine. We had no idea of the places we would go and live, the people we would meet, the ones we would baptize, the friends we would make in Christ. We had no idea what it meant. See, I'm telling you that people of faith have been willing to respond to the challenges of the unknown over and over and over again because we walk in faith. It means we don't know where we're going, except ultimately to heaven. It means we don't know what the next day may hold, but we know who holds that day. William Carey was a shoemaker when one day he heard of millions of people in India who had not heard the good news of Jesus Christ. He believed the Great Commission was calling him to volunteer to go to India. I think God does that with us, doesn't he? But he was told by good-intentioned people, don't go. It's far away. It's dangerous. It's away from family and friends. Carey went anyway with his family in 1797. Supporting himself for 7 years, he worked without seeing a single solitary convert. But by the end of his life, he saw hundreds of churches established and thousands of converts. Today, he is known as the father of modern missions because he was on a journey of faith. God's leading you somewhere. He's taking your life and he's moving it in a direction that you cannot imagine, and he's doing these things all along the road of life, just like Rick talked about today. Many stories of how God worked in their lives and ours and yours. John Newton, I've thought about John Newton often over the years, former slave trader turned abolitionist. His journey of faith is a remarkable story that took him from the coast of Sierra Leone into the hallowed halls of British Parliament with a single message expressed by the hymn that he wrote, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Man, he had no idea what God would do with it. There are so many stories in the journey of faith that is remarkable, and I encourage you even this holiday season to stop and think about the stories in your own life where God has worked. It was also, their journey was a journey of worship. They knew instinctively that this was no ordinary life. These wise men did. They brought gifts of worship, the gifts that have symbolism associated with them. Gold was gift fit for a king. Frankincense is a sap of a tree that was dried and hardened and used as incense, and so it was a gift for a god. Myrrh is a fragrant perfume that was used to anoint the dead and to embalm and preserve. It was a gift fit for sacrifice or for a priest, because he is our king, our God, and our priest. I want you to understand that there's more to all of this, more to worship than what happens between 9 o'clock and 12 o'clock today. I want you to understand that there's far more to it than all of that. This is a sacrificial journey that we're on. It really matters what you do tomorrow. It really matters how you live your life each day. David said, I will not offer to the Lord my God sacrifices that cost me nothing. And then Paul said it this way. He said, offer yourselves as a living sacrifice to God, dedicated to his service, pleasing to him. This is the true worship that you should offer. You see, the greatest gift, the greatest sacrifice you can give is you. It matters what you do at work. It matters what you do when you're shopping or playing, whatever it is you like. It matters how you are with your friends and family. It matters because it's a daily worship to God. And then number 3, their journey was a journey of change. And I like this a lot, because when God spoke to them, they changed their plans and they went a different way so that Herod could not find them. Their devotion now is completely to the child and his survival, not King Herod. Their devotion was to the child. An encounter with God changed them. An encounter with God changes you. I don't know what else I might have been today had I not come to Christ. But whatever it would have been, it would not be what I am. I could not imagine it when God called me to preach and teach. Because standing before any kind of audience scared me to death. He changed me in a lot of ways. Jacob wrestled with God and was never the same. Isaiah stepped into the presence of God. He proclaimed, woe is me, I am undone. Job questions God over and over concerning his suffering. When God shows up, Job says, I am speechless. In all, words fail me. I should never have opened my mouth. I've talked too much, way too much. I'm ready to shut up and listen. That's the message in Job 40. I just love it. Jeremiah, a man so reluctant to do his work, the work that God gave him, would say, but if I say I'll never mention the Lord or speak in his name again, his word burns in my heart like a fire. Like a fire in my bones. And he said, I'm worn out trying to hold it in. That's what happens when we walk into the presence of God. changes us. More than 2,000 years ago, they embarked on a journey to find a child. What they found was God, and that journey changed their world, and it changed our world. Too many families around us never get to the heart of this message. They miss it, and I don't know how they miss it. Well, I read this story some time ago, and I like it. I'm going to close with this. The story goes that on December the 17th, 1903, Orville and Wilbur Wright made their first flight on an airplane on what they had built at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. And that happened on their fifth attempt. The plane under control of Orville embarked on a 12-second flight. It's only 116 years ago. It's not all that long ago. Wilbur rushed to the telegraph office and he sent the following message to his sister. By the way, for those of you who are too young to know what a telegraph office is, it's kind of like a text message, except you have an office to send it out of. You have to have another office someplace to receive it, and then a messenger to deliver it. Other than that, it's just like a text message. So Wilbur rushed to the local telegraph office, and he sent the following message to his sister. "We have flown for 12 seconds. We will be home for Christmas." Great message. Upon receiving the telegraph, his sister Catherine went to the local newspaper office. And by the way, in those days, newspapers were very personal, weren't they? They wrote all about families and their vacations and all of those kinds of things. And this newspaper wrote often about the Wright brothers because they were pretty well known in that area. And so she went right to the newspaper, to the editor of the newspaper, and she told him, she said, really what the fax had, or not the fax, but the telegram had said, and that they were, they had flown for 12 seconds and they would be home for Christmas. And so the headline on page 6 of the paper the next day said, "Wright brothers home for Christmas." They missed the bigger story. A 12-second flight. Maybe they didn't understand her words, or maybe they didn't get how long 12 seconds is when you have weighty matter that you're trying to shove through the air that weighs hundreds and hundreds of pounds. Maybe he just didn't believe it. I don't know, but the most important story of the year, of the decade, arguably the century, he missed it. Amazing, isn't it? I wonder if the same could be said about us when it comes to the meaning of all of this. A week from Tuesday night, many of us will be in this auditorium worshiping God and thinking about that baby who came into the world. Much of the world won't be celebrating that. Many of our neighbors won't be celebrating that. Oh, they'll find time for the parties and the traditions and the good times and all of those kinds of things that we do at holidays and all of that, but they will have missed the most important story in the history of mankind. And those wise men found it. Well, I want you to know that we don't want to miss this message of power and hope and magnificence. Where's Sean? Now you can come on up, Sean. Everybody has a story to tell. Every one of you. How on this journey of faith, God has worked in your life. You have a story to tell about this journey of change and this journey of worship and this journey of service that God has set us on. Whatever you do in your own life, don't miss the point. He is the reason for all that we do. He is the reason for all that we are. And those men from the east, wherever they were, however it came about, got it. And they came to Bethlehem looking for that child. We're going to sing an invitation song, and maybe there's a reason you need to respond today. Maybe there's things going on in your life, troubles and difficulties. I want to tell you, James says we have not because we ask not. If you're struggling with something you haven't asked God, you need to get down on your knees today and ask him to come into your life and work the works that need to be done. He will. So as we stand and sing today, if we can help you, all you have to do is make your way into the aisle, come forward, and we'll spend some time in prayer with you. Let's all stand together. You can be seated. This is Selena. She's a caregiver for Mary. And Mary's mom, Linda, I'm sorry. I don't know why I got Mary on my mind. Linda, her mom just died. And Linda is wanting to know whether she has gone to heaven. I think that's a wonderful thing to want. She wants that assurance. And she was a Christian. One of us is going to talk to her. I may get Doug to talk to her just for a few minutes after we're done here to reassure her about her mom. But I do want to have prayer for her, and I want us to bow together, and then I'll turn it over to Rick. Father, we love you. We are grateful to you, Lord, for all things. We're thankful for the journey, Father. This walk in faith is so remarkable, Lord. So much of the time we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what the next day may hold or the next hour. But Father, we live in that faith that you do. and we love you for it. And so, Father, we just ask you to bless Linda and be with her and Selena, and to be with them, Father, as they navigate this life together with you. And so we thank you, Father, for giving us hope, for giving us life, for Jesus who came into this world, loved us and died for us and was raised for us, and has promised us, Father, that heavenly home. We love you for it, Lord, and we thank you through him. Amen. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Yeah. One of us will talk.
Okay, before I forget this one, let's see. Could you please make an announcement for our ribbon cutting on December 19th? It's at 4 p.m. with the mayor, and an open house will follow with Christmas music and hot chocolate, and to see the space until 6 p.m. And this is from Tiffany Crane at the Nest. December 19th, ribbon cutting. Wanted you all to know about that. Hope that you would be there. As far as prayer requests, we have one from Trinity for Michelle Bidicoffer and Dan Ranson for continuous healing. And then from Beth Snyder, please be in prayer for Rich and Angel. They are at the hospital and beginning the process of bringing baby Elliot into the world. Let's pray. Father, we are blessed to call you our Father. We are thankful that we can come to you anytime with our needs and our desires. And we hope, Lord, that they are in line with yours. We pray right now for Michelle and Dan and for their healing. We pray for Angel and Rich and for baby Elliot and for safe delivery and good health for Angel. Please watch over them all, Lord. Be with all those we love, and help us, Father, to share the good news with everyone we come in contact with, and to always be learning and loving you. We ask it all in Jesus' name. Amen.
and it's surprising how many of them I used. And, gee, if I didn't have this, what would I do? Tools are important. I've been called a tool nut, and I deserve it. I get this little magazine once a month from Harbor Freight, and I sit down there and I drool all the way through it. And Nan asks me a lot of times, why in the world do you have so many tools? Well, I'd like to do a whole lot of things, and there were a number of saws. Oh, and that's, I forgot, I've got 2 band saws too. My garage is packed full of tools, to the point that sometimes I have to move things around to do projects. Having said that, and confessing to be a toolaholic, things that help us to do the job of evangelizing are essential. Last time we met, we went through this thing of a roadmap through the Bible, and I hope you're keeping these things, because these things are good for tools. Now, Colin, did you get one of these? Okay. This particular thing, if you look at the very beginning, the introduction page, it says the Boston Church Elders. And I want to put a disclaimer on this to begin with. Most of you have heard of the Boston Church of Christ, the Chicago Church of Christ, Philadelphia. Now it is called the International Church of Christ, which even 2020 did an exposition on it and called it a cult. The back page, if you look at it, it says discipleship. They went nuts on discipling. Now, the Great Commission says, go into all of the world and make disciples. Okay? We had quite a upsurge with it. In fact, the 2 ministers we had and myself and one other elder went to Chicago to see what they were doing and how they did it, and we were treated royally. Don't get me wrong, we were treated royally. Never have seen anything quite like it. They talked to us about doing a restart with our church, but they had to do it. And we're going, no, I don't think this is the thing that we want to do. Yeah, Carlin. Uh-huh. Yep. I lost it. The other elder that went with us went with the organization, and he was a vice president of the Bible College. So anyway, with that being said, what we found when we went down there was when they reached out to people, they had one of the best methodologies of going into a home and teaching. They used some screwy things to get their foot in the door. They would have block parties. I don't know if any of you have ever been in a situation where you're little, like if you have a cul-de-sac and live in a cul-de-sac, all of your neighbors come together and maybe have a cookout, barbecue, something of this nature. They recommended that you do this and then get to know people, which nothing. That's good, because most of the time we don't even talk to our neighbors anymore. I lived 23 years in one particular place and only was in my neighbor's house 2 times. Just basically because it was this kind of thing. It's like my son JJ says, where are our front porches anymore? We have a back porch, we build a deck and then put a fence around it, and that's where we do, if you're driving down 25, Nan and I are trying to break that because we try to sit out on the front porch. Now, part of that is being nosy about what's going on in the neighborhood, but never mind, This particular method I have used. I have taught this in people's home, and it works. It works extremely well. The thing that you need to be cautious about is the discipleship. Remember, the Great Commission says, go into all the world, make disciples, baptize them, and then continue to teach them. And this is where they went crazy. And they continue to teach it. We had about 7 or 8 students from the Bible College, and it was the time that Andy and Charity were at the Bible College. We had, and it was just a mile down the road. They didn't go off to school. They went down. It was close enough that they could literally walk if they had to get to school. But there were between 7 and 10 of the students left and moved to Chicago, and one moved to Philadelphia. And one of the young persons that went came back. And she said, and this is a direct quote, when my discipler tells me what brand of toilet paper to buy, they've gone too far. How to spend your money, what to spend it on, etc., etc. All of those things are important, but they lose their individuality. Kip McKean was the gentleman. I'm not trying to just make a statement that was made on 2020. Kip McKean, who is at the church in Boston, after it went for about 10 to 12 years, all of the people had the personality of Kip McKean. Now, each one of us has a personality. Maybe you've done a personality profile. We did several of them at our church. Rick, when we were passing out for the thing for the marriage retreat, one of the things that was an option is to do, was it Myers-Briggs personality. I've done that thing so many times that it always comes out the same thing. And I have also done a spiritual gift which is tied together with it, which is interesting to find out who you are and how you work. And it's real neat to do one of those in a marriage seminar so that you know where the buttons are for your spouse so you can push those buttons. But anyway, when 2020 did the expose on the Boston church, they found that everybody had the same personality, and you do not change your personality. You vary it a little bit, but your personality is what God has given you. And all of a sudden we have clones of Kip McKean. That was their major thing, which indicates a cult. Now, I hope you are in a cult. Now, don't throw anything, no songbooks throwing it my way. I'm hoping you are in a cult in the fact that you are a child of God. And that's the only cult I want to belong to. Now, we're going to probably take 2 weeks with this. We're going to skim this. If you turn to page 1, again, I have used this. I've used it at camp because it's a little quicker sometimes than the one that takes 6 months. But if you're going out into a home, yeah, Colin. Yep. It is almost legalism to the nth degree. If you want to know more about this, and like I say, the plan itself is good, but we have freedom, we have liberty on some things. Some things are the Word of God. We can't question those. And those are the things that are in this. There's a couple of things in here that I would kind of skim over real quick. But all of that being said, this is probably one of the best things, and essentially what I'm going to do with this is one of the things in here that is probably the best study, and we'll get to it here in a minute, is phenomenal. And it really puts, when you're sitting down with a person who is not a Christian, to find this. The memorization of Scripture, quite frankly, I have a problem, and I've had a problem since the New American Standard came out, because I had a King James version, and I memorized quite a bit of Scripture, and then I had the New American Standard, and when I went to the New American Standard, then I would mix words up between the New American Standard and the King James, and then the New International, New International came out, and I was taking a Greek course at the time, and the translations that we were doing, where we went, word by word, translating it, when we came down to that particular point, there were 4 of us in the class that did the translations. We did it almost word for word with the New International Version. By combining the 4 people of how they were translating it, and it was kind of eerie. But with all of that being said, I have a problem with memorization because I start mixing different translations up. What I have attempted to do is to try to memorize where I have the concept of what is in that Scripture. I know where it's at, so I can go. That means if I come into your home and at least 25 years ago, almost every home had a Bible in some fashion, even if it was the Bible that was given to you at the wedding, one of those big things, and so forth. Most people have some type of a Bible. To go in and say, oh, well, that version isn't very good, this one isn't so good, back and forth. What they have, use. I have a stack at home. Scott can attest to that because he was in our small group. I have a stack of Bibles, all different versions. Now I do it on my phone where I have a parallel and I don't have to dig each one out. But the thing that is important is with the Scripture memorization is maybe not so much the memorizing of it, because here we're getting into a legal, you have to do this, all right? I want you to be into the Word of God, and I want you to be, when you're talking with people, I want you to help them realize in my prayer that the Word of God is the standard. It's the absolute. And that's what this Word of God page does. And you sit down and you talk with them and you explain that. Some of the things that I have already given you, like how many copies, so that we know that it's accurate versus some of the great writers of the world, and how many more that we have, learning to a certain extent how we got the Bible as we got it today and how it's translated. Some of those kind of things are important only from a standpoint that you can explain to that person that the Word of God has come down some 2,000 years and it is the same. The Dead Sea Scrolls proved that. The Dead Sea Scrolls are the same, almost identical with the exception of maybe not dotting an I or crossing a T, as the Masoretic text that the Jewish people use at this point in time. God has allowed His Word to remain. I want you to go over this. I want you to read all of the scriptures. We don't have time in this class, unless we want to be here till next Christmas, reading all of these. Page 3, the coming of the kingdom. We have talked a little bit about this. This is one of my hobby horses. Whatever you want to, the kingdom of God. Most people are thinking the kingdom of God is heaven. We actually did a study in our small group, the difference between the kingdom of heaven and the kingdom of God. And essentially, these scriptures will tell you that the kingdom of God is the church. Not putting anything about different about the concept of heaven or anything. If you look at Colossians, the 3rd chapter, verse 1, it says something about being seated with Christ as He is seated next to God. And it's in the present tense. So it means we are in the presence of God. And this is what has come. God, and remember that handout that I gave you that did the starlight, the moonlight, and the sunlight, the patriarchal age through the families. God worked through the families, and certain people like Abraham were like Jacob, so forth, worked through those kind of patriarchs. And then came the law, the Mosaic age, the moonlight, and then the sonship. Sunlight, play on word. Sunlight meaning what God has for everyone. As Bill, if you were here for the sermon, made reference to this morning, that the whole picture is about the Son of God. John 14:6 says, "No man comes to the Father except through me." All right. If you turn to page 5, did I skip one? We're not going to get through this because there's 16 pages of this. This is designed for you to go into a home. You know this information. You can copy this and take it to them and go through it. You can go through one of these things in maybe a 2-hour session, maybe less. Answer all questions that you feasibly can. All right. The next, I think, 4 pages. talks about light and darkness. What's the difference? When are most burglaries done? Right. This is going to be really gross and probably, but hey, we're all adults here. You won't find somebody coming in and raping a woman in the middle of this auditorium. She'll be dragged to the bathroom, whatever, and it's done in secret. There is nothing. This gives a phenomenal explanation of the concept of darkness, which is sin, and light, which is from God. You realize that there's not going to be sun in heaven? Because God's glory outshines the sun. The light. What was one of the first things that God created? What was it? Maybe I should say the second thing that he created? Light. He created light before he created the sun and the moon and the stars. Light. God is light. Jesus said, I am the light of the world. And the contrast of this you can use. And this particular situation, utilizing some of this. And like I say, this is a tool. It's not something that has to be done or anything of that nature. It is a tool to be used if you find that you're comfortable with it. You have to be comfortable with what you're attempting to do. For instance, the first one that I give you, the roadmap through the Bible, I don't like it because it does, personally, I don't like it. There are people that, hey, this is where, and can use it extremely effectively. It lacks something for me when I start looking at this compared to that. We're going to look at a couple of other ones and hopefully end up with the let me put it this way. You can buy a Volkswagen Beetle. You can buy a Lincoln. You can buy a Cadillac. You can buy a Mercedes. Okay? And probably the last three are well beyond our budgets. They're sure beyond mine. But each one of those has a little bit more to offer. I'm amazed at the car that we just purchased. It's not new. We purchased it. It only had 26,000 miles on it, so it's pretty new. I still don't know how to run half of the stuff that's in it. Now, that's because I'm technologically challenged, but I still have some difficulties. And so each one of these things, and the one I want to do at the very, very tail end is going to be one, and I've got to look at the church's budget, and I've got to look at my budget, because the CDs that we do are $500. What I would love to do is to have some of you be able to utilize some of these things, and if you really get into this and so forth, and I hope you will, basically because it's a command, is to the church go ahead and buy several sets of these things. All right, light and darkness, there are 4 pages of this, and part of the as we call it, the plan of salvation is put into the middle of it. We're going to leave, because we are out of time, on page 10 it says the baptism of the Holy Spirit, the miraculous gifts of the Spirit, the church, and then discipleship will be next time we meet. and we will go over it. I want you to go ahead and read through all of this. If you have the time, look every scripture up. If you're going to utilize this as a tool to help you be able to communicate God's word to people, it is a good situation. There is one section in there that they get a little nasty with some of the denominations. Like I said, there's some, when you go into a home, one of the things that you need to ask is, what's your religious background? Where do you come from? You know, some people will tell you, I don't have any. In fact, I'm not even sure there's a God. I'm not sure that I believe in God. Then you're going to have some people that are going to say, hey, I was raised in such and such church. I was raised in with this kind of belief, so forth and so on. It's good to put that in the back of your mind so that you know, and it's probably good if you find that information out, go to online and look for what their basic tenets are, and so forth. There is some information about that in that. All right, we're out of time, and my voice is going to go, and I'm going to start coughing here very shortly. So we will see you next week, and we will go through this, and then I will not be here the weekend between Christmas and New Year's. That's the Tim Christmas at Andy's house. All 23 of us. and so, well, 23 and a half. But Chris is going to fill in for that particular Sunday, and we will go into another method that someone has devised, and hopefully it will be something that will be a tool that you can use. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Don't cough into the mic.
thing that God saw us in our need, and he sent his son to be a Savior for us. I want to read a scripture for you this morning as we begin to worship him together. Shout with joy to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come before him singing with joy. Acknowledge that the Lord is God. He made us, and we are his. We are his people, the sheep of his pasture. Enter his gates with thanksgiving. Go into his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and praise his name, for the Lord is good. His unfailing love continues forever, and his faithfulness continues to each generation. Will you pray with me? Our Father in heaven, God, we thank you for this season. We thank you for the reminder of what you did, as Philippians says, that you didn't consider equality with God something to be grasped, but you humbled yourself and you came to this earth and you lived as a man. And Father, we just thank you for Jesus and for the life that he lived, for the death that he died, and for the fact that death doesn't have any grip on him, but that he lives today. And we celebrate, Father, this morning all that you've done for us, and we just thank you for who you are. Help us now as we begin to sing these songs, Father. I pray that they would be more than melodies, Father God, that they would be melodies from our heart, Lord, that you would just move in us, and that your Spirit would teach us as we proclaim with all that we can how great you are. And we pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen. What child is this who laid to rest on Mary's lap is sleeping, whom angels greet with anthems sweet, while shepherds watch are keeping? This is Christ the King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Haste, haste to bring him, Lord, the babe, the Son of Mary. Nails and spears shall pierce him through, the cross be borne for me, for you. Hail, oh hail, the Word made flesh, the babe, the Son of Mary. This is Christ the King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Haste, haste to bring him, Lord, the babe, the Son of Mary. So bring him incense, gold, and myrrh. Come, peasant king, to own him. The King of kings salvation brings. Let loving hearts enthrone him. 'Cause this is Christ the King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Haste, haste to bring him, Lord, the babe, the Son of Mary.
Good morning. Whew, a little hot. How's everybody doing with this Christmas season quickly coming to pass? Everybody got their gifts done? That's what I thought. We're all on Amazon trying to figure it out. As I was considering what to do this morning in celebrating communion with all of you, it hit me that this season is all about Christ. And when we're talking about Christ, we're talking about what Scripture tells us. And Scripture tells us, without doubt, that Christ, that God, is all about love. So in my studies, I came across a few things I thought I'd share with you. This is a collection of responses to the question, what is love, from children. When my grandmother got arthritis, she couldn't bend over and paint her toenails anymore, so my grandfather does it for her all the time, even when his hands have arthritis too. Love is when a girl puts on perfume and a boy puts on shaving cologne, and they go out and they smell each other. Love is when you go out to eat and give somebody most of your French fries without making them give you any of theirs. Love is what makes you smile when you're tired. Love is when my mommy makes coffee for my daddy and she takes a sip before giving it to him to make sure that it tastes okay. Love is when you kiss all the time. And then when you get tired of kissing, you still want to get together and you talk more. My mommy and daddy are like that. They look gross when they kiss. Love is what's in the room with you at Christmas if you stop opening presents and listen. If you want to learn to love better, you should start with a friend you hate. Love is when you tell a guy you like his shirt, then he wears it every day. There are two kinds of love, the last child says, our love and God's love, but God makes both kinds of them. As we're studying through 1 John chapter 4, verse 8 and 9 say, the person who doesn't love doesn't know God because God is love. God has shown us his love by sending his only Son into the world so that we could have life through him. However we define love, let us always strive to show it in our lives. Galatians 5:22 says, but the fruit of the Spirit is love. As we're taking communion this morning, I want you just to think about the glorious love of God. Amen? That we're here today because he gave his life for us so that we might have remission of sin, so that one day we might all gather together in the great throne room of God and be able to sing, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty. Will you pray with me? Father God, we are just so grateful, Lord, to be able to gather around this table today, Father, and to consider what you have done for us, consider what your Son has done for us. We thank you so much for that great sacrifice. Today, Father, as we partake in this communion and we think of the bread as the body of Christ and the wine as the blood of Christ, Father, let us be able to do it with a little bit of a smile and a little bit of reverence, knowing, Lord, that we could never have done this for ourselves, that it's only going to be done by you, by your Son, and by the great gift of grace given to us as a result. Father, we love you. We thank you in all things. And it's in your Son's holy name we pray. Amen.
Morning, everyone. Welcome. We are glad you are here. And if you're visiting with us, we are especially happy to have you here. Turn me down just a hair. Thank you. We are especially happy to have you here with us today if you're visiting, and glad to have you as part of our assembly. Has anyone heard anything about Angel yet? Nothing? I guess they're still waiting, so we'll see what happens. For those of you who may not know, they were going to induce her last night, but then I heard that they didn't start till this morning. So anyway, it's that waiting game now before that baby decides to come into this world. Also, I want to remind you that I'm collecting some money for a few of our families for Christmas. If you'd like to help, certainly can give me your money, and I'll make sure that it's used correctly. But again, we're glad you're here, and I want you to turn to Matthew chapter 2. We're going to talk about a story there that just has always fascinated me. It's rather mysterious in a lot of ways, but it's a great story. And I'm going to tell you what it tells us. I'm going to tell you what it doesn't tell us. I'm going to give you some theories about it. A little bit that I think are worth considering as we look at this passage of Scripture from Matthew chapter 2. I cannot believe that it's only 10 days till Christmas. Can you? I cannot believe we're almost at the end of another year. And I'm telling you, at my age, I can't afford many of these. So, but it is just unbelievable. The years go by so very quickly, and the older you get, I don't know why, the faster they are. Matthew chapter 2, we're going to read this together, and then I'm going to share some things with you about it as we go on, and I'm going to share with you three great truths about this journey that these wise men took. Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea during the reign of King Herod. About that time, some wise men from the eastern lands arrived in Jerusalem asking, "Where is the newborn King of the Jews? We saw his star as it rose, and we have come to worship him." King Herod was deeply disturbed when he heard this, as was everyone in Jerusalem. Let me stop there for a moment and just tell you very quickly that they were not disturbed for the same reason. Herod was disturbed because he keeps hearing that this newborn king is born. Seeing that as a threat to him in the future, he is disturbed by it. The rest of Judah is disturbed not because of that, but they are disturbed because he's disturbed. Whenever Herod or any leader like him got disturbed, it always meant trouble for the people. Listen to me, they had waited a long time for their Messiah. They looked for their Messiah. There was an expectation for their Messiah, and they were not disturbed by the fact that the Messiah was coming. They were disturbed by the fact that Herod was going to do something awful, and he did, didn't he? He decides after these wise men leave, and he can't make contact with them anymore, that he is going to kill all children under 2 years old in and around Bethlehem. That's how brutal he was. And by the way, that's what they feared. Read on with me. Verse 4, he called a meeting of the leading priests and teachers of religious law and asked, "Where is the Messiah supposed to be born?" "In Bethlehem in Judea," they said. They answered that immediately because they knew the verse. They knew the prophecies. "For this is what the prophet wrote," they said. And this is from Micah chapter 5. This is from Micah chapter 5, hundreds of years before this. "And you, O Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are not least among the ruling cities of Judah." Let me tell you something, they were. Hang on with me. Bethlehem amounted to not very much. But the prophet is raising up Bethlehem. And he's raising up Bethlehem for one reason. And that's what he's about to say. For a ruler will come from you, who will be the shepherd of my people Israel. Then Herod called for a private meeting with the wise men, and he learned from them the time when the star first appeared. Then he told them, go to Bethlehem and search carefully for the child, and when you find him, come back and tell me so that I can go and worship him too. After this interview, the wise men went their way, and the star they had seen in the east guided them to Bethlehem. It went ahead of them and stopped over the place where the child was, and when they saw the star, they were filled with joy. They entered the house and saw the child and his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened their treasure chest and gave him gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh. And when it was time to leave, they returned to their own country by another route, for God had warned them in a dream not to return to Herod. I think this is such a fascinating story on many levels. And on one level, and I'm going to give you some facts and I'm going to give you some theory. For example, let me tell you what questions we cannot answer from the biblical text. We don't know how many of them there were. Mostly we'll see that birth scene, and we'll see not only the shepherds there, but we'll see the wise men there, and there'll be 3 of them. Truth of the matter is they came later, as much as 2 years later. It was certainly several months later after his birth. They were already in a rented house. But these men came from the east, and we don't know really much more than that, although I'm going to give you a guess here in just a moment. We don't know exactly where they came from. We don't know how long their journey took, either there or back. We don't know exactly how much they knew or what they understood. Now, I believe that it's very, very possible, and this is where theory comes in, that they came from the land of Babylon. And the reason I believe that that may be the case is that you remember the children of Israel were exiled to the land of Babylon. And they were there for 70 years. The reality is that many of them stayed after that 70 years. There was a large Jewish population in Babylon where they may have learned many of these things. Not only that, but Daniel and Ezekiel both prophesied from Babylon, and certainly they were known, and people and their writings were known. And so there may have been a way for these men to know that apart from direct divine intervention, because they looked for something. They expected something. Something big was about to happen, and they knew it. And so they show up mysteriously, and just as mysteriously they're gone and never mentioned again. We never hear from them again. So what we do know is this. They were philosophers, priests, astronomers. They were well-regarded men. I've seen some call them magicians, because they're often called the Magi, but that's not the case. These were men who studied the stars, and so when this one star in the west shows up, they know that it's unusual. I believe that God has guided them with regard to this star, and they knew something was about to happen. There was a great expectation, and so it was that Herod was a maniacal, bloodthirsty, mentally unstable tyrant seeking information about the newborn King of the Jews. And so you have these 2 groups, this group of wise men who came from the east, and then you have Herod and all of those that belong to him. One is seeking the child for good purposes. The other is seeking the child in order to kill him. That's what they were doing. When they got to Bethlehem, they didn't come to the stable as often presented in the retelling of the birth story, but they came to a rented house where Joseph had moved his family. They were also Gentiles. Now let me tell you why I think that's important. All through the Old Testament, God lets everyone know that salvation is going to be for both Jew and Gentile. There's no question about it. And so this is a Jewish child being born in a Jewish city, in a Jewish country, and Jewish parents, and everything around him is about that. And all of a sudden, out of the clear blue, come these men who are Gentiles, and they are inserted into the birth story of Jesus. Listen to me, folks. That was no accident. God has put these Gentiles there on purpose. They are important. He is sending a message not only to the Jews, but he's sending a message to the world that this child has come into the world for all of the world. And aren't you grateful that he did? Aren't you grateful? And so am I. And so as we look at this, we understand that God gave him a special sign. And while Herod meant to destroy this child, they became his protectors. These men from the east that we know very little about, who suddenly show up, became the protectors of Jesus Christ. I want to tell you some things about their journey, and I'll bring some of these things back into it as we talk. But their journey was a journey of faith, and I want you to understand what I'm saying about that in just a moment. These men were philosophers, they were priests, they were astronomers, they lived likely in, as I said before, in Babylon. They were learned men of Eastern nations, devoted to astronomy, to religion, even to medicine. They were held in high esteem. They came to Jerusalem and they asked this question: where is he who was born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east. Where is he who was born King of the Jews? They came looking for the King of the Jews. And they naturally, so I'm going to tell you, they came some distance. At some point, the star is gone. And they decide the place to look for him is in Jerusalem. That's where you go, right? That is the city of the kings. That is the capital city for many hundreds of years of the Hebrew people. It's the natural place to go, to come into the city of Jerusalem, begin to ask the question, where is the one born King of the Jews? Maybe they thought that he'd be born in a palace. Maybe they thought he would be born in a place where kings are born. Maybe they thought he'd be surrounded by opulence and wealth and the care of hired nannies and facing a life of extravagance. Maybe they thought all of that. Maybe they couldn't imagine anything else for this child born King of the Jews. They certainly could not have imagined that he'd be born in a stable. They certainly could not have imagined that there would be those trying to kill him. They certainly could not have imagined what the reality was going to be like and how God makes choices that make us really take notice about what he's doing. Instead, they find him in an out-of-the-way, insignificant little town called Bethlehem, living in a small rented house. The word Bethlehem means house of bread. And that's fitting because he would become the bread of life. I've often wondered what would prompt someone to leave the comfort of their homes to go on a dangerous journey. Romance or treasure or adventure. But it wasn't any of those that drove these men from the east. It was faith. Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? That's a probing question. There is no doubt in their words that he had been born, but where is he? They had seen a star. The Bible says of us that we walk by faith, not by sight. I want to tell you what that means. It's not saying that some Christians should walk by faith, but they walk by sight. It means that we walk by faith. It means that we don't know what the next hour for us holds. We don't know what the next day or week or month or what this next year may bring. We walk by faith in all that we do. This was a time of expectation. Something was happening, and they were willing to risk everything to find him. They were willing to leave the safety of their homes, to risk a perilous journey to seek the king. I can only imagine what people around them thought. I can only imagine that friends and family said, now wait a minute, you're going where? They said, well, we don't know. We're just going west. I can only imagine if these people were saying to them, well, how long are you going to be gone? And they said, I don't know. What are you going to do? We don't know. We're just going on a journey. I can imagine people saying, are you crazy? Are you insane? Are you completely out of your minds? People often say the same thing about people of faith on their journey. They don't understand us. They don't understand the journey. They don't understand the why. God's journeys have always involved faith. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I know who I trust in. That's faith. I remember well when Sherry and I came to faith in 1973. We had no idea what it meant. I remember coming into our bed at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning because we had been to the Mediterranean Sea and baptized there, and I remember us laying in bed and talking to one another, and just, I don't know what this means for us. I had no way of knowing what it meant. I had no idea where it would take us. I had no idea what the change would be in our life. I had no idea that it was going to change the entire course of our life. We were nearly ready to leave Cyprus, and we were already thinking about what we were going to do when we got home. What was I going to do? I got letters from the CIA wanting me to do for them exactly what I had been doing in Cyprus. We were going to consider that. All kinds of things were being considered. But God had other plans. And he called Sherry and me to do something different. He called us on a journey. We had no place. We couldn't imagine where we would end up. We couldn't imagine the changes that would take place in the course of life. We had no idea the places that we would go and live, the people we would meet, the ones we would baptize and see come to Christ. I had no idea. When I was in school, the thing I feared the most was public speaking. So God's got a sense of humor, right? You don't like to speak publicly, Bill? I'll just let you do a lot of that in your life. You see, that's what it means to walk by faith. Every day we're guided by faith. I may make plans. I may put God in those plans, but in the end, it's what God wants that matters. He's going to take me where he wants me to go. That's what I'm always convinced of. Rick today on the Lord's Supper was talking about the things that he and Jan had experienced. Well, God had led them, and God had kept them, and talking about losing jobs and how God made something good out of that, and needing money, and God brought that into their lives. And it made me think there was a time when Sherry and I needed $1,000 for something specific. We needed it. And it wasn't a new bicycle or anything like that. But we needed it. And all of a sudden, one day, and I've heard these things by preachers on TV all my life, and I'm always like, yeah. One day, we went out to the mailbox. We got the mail. We had a letter from some good friends of ours. We had spent a good bit of time with them, and they had become really good friends, and we had helped them come out of a cult that they were involved in, and we just ended up loving them, and they loved us. And I opened up this envelope and had a check for $1,000. Had a note. It said simply, we just came into some money, and we thought about you. Now I want you to understand something. They didn't know we needed $1,000. We were living in different places at this time. They had absolutely no idea what was going on in our lives. We had no idea what was going on in their lives. I am telling you, it came out of the clear blue, and something prompted them to do that, and I know what that something was. Because we walk by faith. All of a sudden, God shows up. I mean, I've had times in my life when I'm saying, God, where are you? Are you not listening? And I think back to Habakkuk. Habakkuk said the same thing to God, by the way. God, where are you? All of this stuff is going on, God. Where are you? And I'm going to tell you, when God showed up for Habakkuk, he showed up in a big way. We walk by faith. I read the story of a guy named William Carey one time. He was a shoemaker. when one day he heard of millions of people in India who had not heard the good news of Jesus Christ. He believed the Great Commission was calling him, so he volunteered to go to India, but he was told by good-intentioned people, don't go. It's far away. It's dangerous. It's away from family and friends. I can only imagine that these magi were told the same thing, maybe. Carey went anyway with his family in 1797. Supporting himself for 7 years, he worked without seeing a single convert, but by the end of his life, he saw hundreds of churches and thousands of converts, and today he is widely known as the father of modern missions because his life was a journey of faith. And then there was the likes of John Newton, former slave trader turned abolitionist. His journey of faith is a remarkable story that took him from the coast of Sierra Leone to the hallowed halls of British Parliament with a single message expressed by the hymn that he wrote, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. That was a journey of faith. I want you to understand that every one of you has a story. Every one of you is on a journey of faith. Every one of you knows of times in your life, if you'll stop and think, that God intervened in your life to make a difference. Maybe it wasn't $1,000, but maybe it was something else. I can look back at our lives and I can see God again and again and again and again. Right up to the point of bringing us to the very place where we could find Christ. What a remarkable God he is. There are so many stories of faith. So many of you have stories where God has intervened in your life because we are on a walk of faith. God controls it all. Not only was their journey a journey of faith, it was also a journey of worship. They knew instinctively that this was no ordinary life. They brought with them gifts of worship. The gifts have a lot of symbolism associated with them. Gold represents wealth. It's a gift fit for a king. Frankincense is the sap of a tree that was dried and hardened and used as incense. It was a gift fit for God. Myrrh is a fragrant perfume that they brought that was used to anoint the dead, to embalm and preserve, and it was a gift fit for a priest, a sacrifice. See, I want you to understand that worship is not what happens between 9 and 12:30 only. It's what happens tomorrow. It's what you do on your job. It's where you go and the people you touch and the times that you take to really listen to someone, to look into their eyes, to see the hurt and pain and offer words of comfort, maybe words of prayer. So often we walk right by the opportunities in life and don't recognize that all of life is worship to God. I like what David wrote. He said, I will not offer to the Lord my God sacrifices that cost me nothing. And Paul said this. He said, offer yourselves as a living sacrifice to God, dedicated to his service, pleasing to him. This is the true worship that you should offer. See, the greatest gift you can give is you. I often write an article in my, actually reprint it. I wrote it in my newsletter. I didn't put it in this month, but it really talks about how we buy our parents and all of that. Sometimes trivial stuff. We get them ties and things like that. And that's okay. I can tell you as a parent, we always appreciate whatever the gifts may be. But if you really want to give them a gift, if you really want to give them a gift, sit down at a table with a card or a blank piece of paper and write a note. It's coming out of my heart. Let them know how much you love them. Even our kids say, well, mom and dad, they just have what they want. If they don't have what they want, they can go out and get what they want. True enough. Sit down and put pen to paper. In fact, put heart to paper and write your parents a note and say to them, I love you. A lot of ways you can say it. See, the greatest gift you can give is you. I'm going to tell you the words they write mean more to us than the gifts they give. Although I do like gift cards. Theirs was a journey of worship. They had come to worship him. And here we are 2,000 years later still worshiping the King. Number 3, the journey was a journey of change. Text doesn't say it, but I'm going to tell you. They went home different than when they came. When it was time to leave, they returned to their own country by another route, for God had warned them in a dream not to return to Herod. Their devotion is now completely to the child and his survival, not to King Herod or anything else. Risked their lives? Yeah, if Herod would have caught up with him, he might have killed them. They didn't care. Risk their safety? Didn't matter. Risk their journey? Risk getting back to their family? Don't care. All that matters is protecting the child. Jacob wrestled with God and was never the same after that. I can only imagine. Isaiah stepped into the very presence of God and he proclaimed, woe is me, I'm undone. Job questions God over and over again. This is from the Message. I love this as it's stated in the Message. But he questions God over and over again about his own suffering. And when God shows up, this is what Job says in the Message. He says, I'm speechless in awe. And then he goes on to say, words fail me. I should never have opened my mouth. I've talked too much, way too much. I'm ready to shut up and listen. That's Job 40 from the Message. Jeremiah was a man so reluctant to do the work that God gave him. He would say, but if I say I'll never mention the Lord or speak in his name, he was to the point of exhaustion in chapter 20. He said, his words burn in my heart like a fire. It's like a fire in my bones. I am worn out trying to hold it in. And then he proclaims boldly, I can't stay silent. Changes you. And I'm going to tell you something. If it's not changing you, something's wrong. Something's wrong. I think this is what happens when we walk into the presence of God. We become different people. I don't know what I might have been today or what I might have been doing or any of those things, but I'm telling you, God changed me in every way imaginable. So more than 2,000 years ago, they embarked on a journey to find a child, and they found God. And that changed their world, and it's changed ours. Too many families never get the heart of it. They miss it. I don't know why. Man, we're here to come Christmas Eve. There'll be a whole bunch of us gathered in here together because it is time to worship the child, the Jesus. And there'll be families all over our area that are doing all kinds of other things. They'll have their parties and traditions and drinks and all of those kinds of things. But for us, this day has a meaning and a purpose and a focus. On December the 17th, 1903, Orville and Wilbur Wright made their first flight in an airplane at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. I love this story. On their fifth attempt that day, the plane under the control of Orville embarked on a 12-second flight. 12 seconds isn't much. But man, look where we are because of it. Wilbur rushed to the local telegraph office and sent the following. By the way, if you don't know what a telegraph office is, it's kind of like sending a text message, only you have to have a building at one end and a building at the other where you send it, and then you have to have someone take it and deliver it to the people it's going to. But other than that, it's like a text message. So Wilbur rushed to the local telegraph office and sent the following message to their sister. We have flown for 12 seconds. We will be home for Christmas. Upon receiving the telegram, their sister, Catherine, went to the local newspaper. And by the way, I have to keep explaining these things because it doesn't make sense in today's culture. But in those days, newspapers were very personal, and they would write about families. They tell about your vacation in the newspaper. That's just the way they were. And, of course, the Wrights were well known in that area, and they knew all about them. So she goes to the local newspaper editor, and she told him that told him about the telegraph that she got, a 12-second flight, and informed him that they'll be home for Christmas. And he said, well, that's nice, and he'd be sure to put it in the paper. So the next day, on the 6th page, this is December the 19th, the local paper placed the following headline on the 6th page: Wright Brothers home for Christmas. That actually wasn't the greater message. The greater message was that they missed the message of the year, they missed the message of the decade, and arguably the message of the century. I don't know why he didn't do it. Maybe 12 seconds didn't sound like much. Maybe he didn't understand how hard it is to keep weighty matter in the air for 12 seconds. Maybe he just didn't hear it. I don't know. But he missed it. Sometimes church-going folks have missed the most important story in man's history: God's intervention. He sent his son in the form of a baby into this world. I don't want you to miss it. So you're on a journey. It's a journey of faith. It's a journey of worship. It's a journey of change. You can come on up, Sean. You're on. And it's a journey that will not end until your end. And then it's heaven. So don't miss it. Help your friends and family not to miss it. No matter where you are, what you're doing, whatever your traditions may be, always invite God into it. Always. Make sure that Jesus is there. These wise men were amazing. They were just amazing. All the things that they could have been doing, they embarked upon a journey that was going to bring them to a point where 2,000 years later, we are talking about them. It was a journey. A journey of faith. It was a journey of change. It was a journey of the unknown. Well, we're going to sing an invitation song. And maybe you need to respond today. Maybe you got problems going on in your life, and I want to tell you, James says that we have not because we ask not. Sometimes God's the last one we go to. And I'm going to tell you that God always has the plans to find a solution to the problem. So let's stand together, and if we can help you in any way, we'll stop and have prayer with you for as long as we need to. And as we stand and as we sing, you can come forward.
there any announcements I don't have in my hand that we need to make reference to? Okay. First one, Dale Smith asked for prayers for his father, Joe. Joe is 93, was recently diagnosed with pneumonia yesterday, so if we can keep him in thoughts and prayers. And also, I believe that one of Dale's uncles, I believe, right, Dale, recently passed away as well. So just keep all of the family in prayer, please. Annette writes prayers for a family friend of Maria's. Christy Haas was in a bad car accident earlier this year. Their family lost their son, and now Christy is not doing well. Pray for the family. Maria's friend's name is Dana. Trinity asked for prayers for Michelle Bittekoffer and also for Dan Ranson for quick and continuous healing. And Beth Snyder reminds us that Rich and Angel are, of course, supposed to be induced this morning and start the process of bringing baby Elliot into the world. Will you pray with me? Father God, we come before you here this afternoon, Lord, and we just lift all of these up to you, these folks, and all the things that are happening. Father, we pray for your hand of healing to be upon those who need healing. Be with those who just need your guidance and wisdom. Be with those who simply just need to have you in their lives, Father. We pray for Rich and Angel, Lord, and for baby Elliot, that all goes well. And we look forward, of course, to meeting him and seeing the family again soon. Lord, be with us this week. Help us to be your hands and feet. Help us to let the world know how much you love them by our actions, by our words, and most importantly, by our love. And it's in your Son's name we pray. Amen. Have a great week.